Why did you decide to expand and open it up to welcoming men?
Because I'm a glutton for punishment. That's why. No, actually, I was at a barn in DeSoto, Kansas, and I'm talking to this guy. Why his wife? I worked this cell, and people would come in and shop. And if I worked for a week there, they would give me all the leftover clothes for my girls for job interviews. And so I'm working in this barn. This man comes in, his wife's shopping, and he is this guy that you see the signs, "We buy ugly houses." And he wanted to nominate me for some Christian Passion Servant Award. So a year and a half later, I'm in bed with pneumonia, and Judy comes in, and she's like, there's a man on the phone. This might be your last chance, I think, is what she gave me the phone, and it's this guy a year and a half later, and he said, I came into work today, and your little pink card was in the middle of the desk, and so I decided to be faithful and call you. And he said, I have a house down there by you, and I think, what do you think of that? And I said, well, I think I don't have any money. Now, what do you think of that? And he said, well, if you can use it for your ministry, I'll give it to you. There's miraculous healing powers with the words free house. So I jumped up in my PJs. I went down to this house. There were a bunch of drunk men outside breaking beer bottles, hooting and hollering at me. So that very day, I knew when I walked away from there, I could not put single women there, that it would have to be a men's home.
How have those expanses created new challenges for you?
Think about how our grocery bills have went up. We're feeding 200 people every day here. So if you take a family of four, how much more it's costing you? Think about times 200. So it's difficult. I learned a couple things when I started this ministry. Before you go downstairs and the baby birds attacked you for everything, Mom, 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 you drink coffee and you pray. So you don't kill anybody. Yeah, I learned that pretty early on. That was something I needed to do. Every day was start the day in prayer.
And we talk about the structure changes. How did that impact the residents?
It was an adjustment because they were used to hanging out with me and Mama Judy. Would make candy, we'd cook together. I was always with the girls. And so when we started expanding, me and Mama Judy couldn't be everywhere with everybody. I want to be there, and I still do a lot of things with people that live here all the time. But it was just an adjustment period because they were used to 24/7, and we just couldn't do that anymore. Many challenges. I used to go to AA, and me and the girls would go to meetings, and I had 7 people from AA come to me and say, we don't want you to come here anymore, you and your girls. We're tired of hearing about God, and we're tired of hearing about Healing House. And I said, well, that's unfortunate that the Healing House people are the ones up there celebrating their periods of sobriety. And I said, the only need for membership is a desire not to drink. And so it was a couple days after Valentine's Day when they kicked me out of AA. Kind of funny, they can't do that. But the girls had bought me this big helium balloon. And I went to my bedroom. I didn't want anybody to see me crying. And I sat on the bed and I was crying. And there was a balloon behind my door of my room. And a few minutes into that, I could feel my hair moving. And I thought, what is that? It kind of startled me. And that big balloon that said, I love you, the string from it was messing with my hair. And it was like God saying, stop it. I love you. I have this. It's just been, you know what, when you're doing God's work, Satan tries to attack. He would love to take me out, the ministry out. But, our God is greater, and I know that. So no matter what we're going through, we hang on. One thing about me, I was a knucklehead. I've always been bullheaded. And so now I'm just sold out for God, and I'm bullheaded, and I'm not giving up. Whatever He puts in front of me to do, I'm going to do it, by golly, with His help. It's going to happen. And He gives me insight of what's next. He doesn't speak to me audibly, but He speaks to my heart and shows me the needs of the people. When a person comes in here, they're at their lowest, they're broken, they're hopeless. And we take them from there, get them clothes, get them hygiene products. If have an assessment. Do they have mental health needs? Do they have physical health needs? We take them to the doctor's office. We pick them back up. We help them get the free medical card every step of the way. And there's no place in the world like Healing House. There is no place, not a treatment center, not transitional homes. There is nobody that does what we do with the people God brings us. And that, we're walking right next to them, holding them up until they can stand and walk on their own. And it's a family. It's God's family.
Have you seen the neighborhood change
Oh my
over
gosh.
the past 20 years since you've been here?
Yes, all the prostitutes are gone, the gang members, the pimps, the drug dealers. They're here's my example I always use, that when you turn on the light, the darkness has to flee, right? And God has used us, a bunch of people in recovery, to shine the light in this neighborhood. It's just incredible. It's an entirely different atmosphere here.
Well, the neighborhood has changed, and I'm thinking about when you started with that first Pink House and some of the everyday practices and some of the habits that you enforced in that first time of having the Pink House. What are some of those habits and practices that are still in place today for your residents?
I'm going to tell you, we had 2 rules when we started. Don't bring boys home and don't drink and drive. Now we have 4 typewritten pages of rules. And it's like having your first kid, and then you learn on your first kid, and then when you have your second one, you kind of know better. It was a lot of trial and error, trial and error. And keeping the house clean, making their beds, being responsible. When we're out there in our addiction, we don't have any responsibilities. The only thing we're focused on is getting the drugs or the alcohol. And so just teaching people, and I have women come here that have been in awful relationships and they don't think they can make it on their own. And it is so empowering when they get these jobs and they pay their housing fee and they're paying off the courts and this and that. And they're like, Mom, I can really do this. I'm like, yes, baby, you don't have to live in bad circumstances to survive. When you're doing the next right thing, it all works out.
So you mentioned someone saying, I don't think I can do this. What about people who say that? Like, this worked great for you, this has worked great for other people, but maybe I'm beyond hope. What do you want to say to that person, and what do you want people to know about addiction and recovery?
I don't want to cry, but if God can bring somebody like me out of that deep, dark pit that I was in, I was totally hopeless. Didn't want to take another breath of air. But God seemed fit to bring me out of that. And if He can do it for me, I am 100% sure that I'm nobody special. Well, I'm God's daughter, but if He'll do it for me, He'll do it for anybody. And there is hope. And I have a buddy that says I used to be a dope dealer and now I'm a hope dealer. And I love that. And that's what we do here is we show people love, which is huge. And they feel welcome and at home. And hope comes alive. I didn't mean to cry.
Really my delight to talk to you and to hear these incredible stories about Healing House. And I want to congratulate you on 20 years of incredible ministry.
Yes.
That has just helped thousands of people.
Amen.
And I can't wait to see what comes next.